Hello, and welcome back to the Misty Morrison Podcast. I'm your host, Misty Morrison, and this is episode 15 of Petty Please. First, our housekeeping before we get into our stories. Please remember to engage with the content. If you are listening on podcast, please leave a 5-star review and share it with a friend. You can press the plus button to follow for more. If you are watching on YouTube, please comment with your thoughts on the stories. Share it with a friend, like the video, subscribe for more. And if you are following along on socials, leave a comment with your thoughts as well, and follow along for more. All right, into our pettiness for the day. Story number 1 is coming to us from r/choosing beggars. Give away free cupcakes at work. Got told they weren't inclusive enough. This sounds like a snowflake problem. I brought in 2 dozen cupcakes to the office last Friday. Just a nice mix I baked at home. Vanilla, chocolate, a few with sprinkles. Left them in the break room with a note that said, "Free, enjoy." About an hour later, someone sends a company-wide email saying, "While I appreciate the gesture, it would have been nice if there were gluten-free or vegan options so everyone could enjoy." Then added an aggressive line like, "Let's try to be more mindful when sharing food in common spaces." They were free. I'm not a bakery. I didn't realize bringing cupcakes made me head of dietary inclusivity. Next time, I'm bringing nothing but a locked Tupperware and a spoon for me only. Exactly. It is not your job, at work or anywhere else, to make sure that it is the right thing for everyone. If you were specifically tasked with making a cake for a party or something that was for a staff member that you knew was gluten-free, okay, you meet that request if you can. But you literally just felt like baking, and out of the kindness of your heart, you brought a bunch of it to work with you and you shared. And everyone is always just so me. I'm the only person that matters. So you're horrible because you didn't bring anything vegan or anything gluten-free. Her dietary needs are not your responsibility. No. If you were bringing food to share with a specific person, that's one thing. But you weren't. It was for everybody. If you can't eat it, all right, don't eat it. That's it. You're not required to include everybody. You're just not. It's almost impossible to do, and it's not worth trying. That is our first example of entitled for the day. Story number 2 is coming to us from r/entitled people. She said I should stop cooking with garlic because the smell bothers her through the wall. This actually happened the other night, and I'm still kind of in disbelief. My neighbor knocked on my door and, completely serious, told me I should stop cooking with garlic because the smell was bothering her through the wall. She said, "It's really inconsiderate. Can you just not use garlic in your food?" For a second, I just stared at her because I honestly didn't know what to say. Then I told her, "I'm cooking in my own kitchen. I'm not going to stop using garlic." She walked off muttering about how rude I was. I'm still sitting here like, garlic? Through the wall? Really? Garlic is a strong spice that I myself really enjoy. I really, really like my garlic. And yeah, I would have said the same thing if someone was like, "Please don't cook with garlic." No, garlic makes me happy. And I'm going to continue doing that. So you're just out of luck, like light a candle or something. I don't know what to tell you. To even have the nerve to ask somebody who lives in a different unit than you to cook differently, insane. Just insane. And I don't understand. Story number 3 is coming to us from r/entitled people. Looking a gift horse in the mouth. We bought a brand new car battery for a friend who needed help. We noticed when we installed the battery that the engine was sputtering a little bit. And after the install. Now that we put the new battery in for them, the car starts fine, but it still has issues with the engine sputtering because there's something else wrong with it. Our friend approached us at a gathering recently and told us that the battery we bought them was not the highest quality and that they thought the battery was the reason their engine was sputtering. They clearly don't understand how cars work, but really? You got a free battery and you're going to complain because you don't like the brand? Ugh. It's just another story that makes me feel like humanity just keeps going further and further down the hill. Because yeah, you got a free battery and you're being entitled and ungrateful. Batteries are expensive. Whenever my car needed a battery replaced for the first time since I owned it, I looked up prices to see if I could replace it with exactly what had been in it before. And I looked up the exact make and model of the battery, and it was like $350. I'm like, nope, you're not getting a fancy name brand battery again. It's just not happening. So I went and got a different brand battery. I think it was like $130. It was a lot less. And yeah, the battery had no effect on what sounds the engine makes. Ugh. Now you know not to help that friend anymore because they're ungrateful. Story number 4 is coming to us from r/entitled people. I was told to move my car to the handicap spot. I went to the store today and parked in an open spot at the front of the store. As I was getting out, a man pulled behind me and honked. I got out and he yelled at me to pull into the handicap spot. What? I just looked at him wondering if I heard him right. So I asked, "You want me to move my car to the handicap spot at the end of the row?" "Yes, then I can park there." I let him know I wasn't going to move my car to the end of the row so he could park in my space. You see, the handicap space was further from the door where the ramp was located. I don't need a ramp. I just can't walk far without pain most days. There were spots a couple of rows back for him to park, and I pointed them out. He was not happy. This was a first for me. I'm usually told I shouldn't be parking in the handicap spot because I don't look disabled. The nerve to just be like, "Oh, you have a handicap sticker, so you need to go park down there, further from the door, just so I can have this nice close spot." It's insane. Story number 5 is coming to us from r/entitled people. Entitled guy tries to convince my wife to let him break my office rules. I let some people use the meeting room in my office for their business meetings in the evenings for a couple of weeks. It was an MLM group my friend was part of. I told my friend they couldn't use the Wi-Fi for security reasons. My wife works for me, and she stayed at the office while the people were there one evening. This guy who I've never met comes up to her with a cocky, entitled attitude and said, "I need the Wi-Fi password. Give it to me." She told him he can't have it. He responded, "Your boss, insert my name here, said we could have it." "You know him, right? I don't want to have to call him and get you in trouble for not giving me the password." My wife's response, "Yes, I know him. I sleep in the same bed with him every night. Go ahead and call him. Let's see how that conversation goes." The guy scurried off with his tail between his legs, as he should. Not only did you approach it in the wrong way, not only did you lie saying that he said you could have it, but then you doubled down. "Oh, your boss, you know him, right?" You acted like she was dumb and you were rude to her. Story number 6 is coming to us from r/entitled people. I will have 3 mimosas, 1 will be free. I am an experienced bartender, and when I saw that lady walking towards me with her friend, I knew she would be trouble. I saw it on her face and the way she walked. I knew she was a special type of Karen. So just as I predicted, she walks up to me and says, "I'll have 3 mimosas, 2 on the bill and 1 for free. It's her birthday." We don't have any birthday special. Nowhere does it say you get a free cocktail for your birthday. I have people mention it's their birthday to get some free stuff or ask if we have birthday specials, but straight up announce to me that they will get a free drink is a first. I usually do give a cocktail for birthdays here and there when it's asked nicely. I said, "Oh, we actually don't give away any free drinks for birthdays. She seemed shocked and mad. I don't know if that tactic of hers ever worked. Oh well, goodbye, entitled customer. I mean, I imagine certainly somewhere it works, especially like if she gets an inexperienced bartender, someone who is still afraid to make the customer mad because the customer's always right. Yeah, I could see where it possibly worked, but also some people just have the gumption to walk up and say something outrageous and believe it in their own head, expecting it's going to work. It's crazy. Story number 7 is coming to us from r/entitled people. A customer said I should give them a discount because I look well off. This happened yesterday and I'm still kind of stunned. A customer came up, asked the price of something, and when I told them, they actually said, "You should give me a discount. You look like you can afford it." I thought I misheard at first. I just blinked at them and said, "That's not how this works." They shrugged and said, "Well, you could if you wanted to," then walked off like they were the reasonable one. I still can't get over the logic here. I think that's because you are trying to make sense of something nonsensical and there was no logic in it at all. Story number 8 is coming to us from r/choosing beggars. Coworker stole someone else's food delivery and then had the audacity to complain about it. That is some audacity right there. Someone who used to work in this building for a different business accidentally ordered Chipotle here. Like they forgot to change their address in the food app. The other businesses moved a few buildings down the road a few months ago, so it was an easy mistake. And so 2 of my coworkers were like vultures and they started eating that person's order as soon as it arrived, instead of waiting to see if someone would come get it. And the person had just showed up to get their food about 5 minutes after it was delivered, was looking for their food in the lobby, got visibly pissed, and then left. Poor person. And then one of the coworkers had the audacity to start complaining that the food they stole was too spicy and it's going to give them stomach issues. It's now sitting on their desk with a few bites taken out and will most likely be thrown out. Okay. Ooh. There's just not even anything to say to something like that. No. Story number 9 is coming to us from r/choosing beggars. You gave my kid the wrong snack. This happened yesterday while I was waiting for my bus at the downtown terminal. It was hot, seats were limited, and people were already grumpy. A woman nearby had a little boy, maybe 4 or 5. He looked tired and hungry. She was loudly complaining to everyone around her about how the bus was late, how broke she was, how her baby had not had anything to eat all day. I felt bad, so I offered the kid a sealed granola bar from my bag and a small bottle of water. The kid happily took it, but the mom? She stared at the bar and goes, "You don't got anything without nuts?" He doesn't like nuts. I told her no. That was all I had, and he seemed fine with it. She scoffs and said, "Well, then maybe don't offer food if you're gonna half-ass it." I just blinked at her and said, "You're welcome," and walked to the other end of the station. A few minutes later, I see her trying to ask someone else for real food because her child deserves better than leftover scraps. The granola bar? Still in the kid's hand, half-eaten, happily munching. The first comment on this one has a gold box on it, and it says, "If he doesn't like nuts, he must hate her too." Yes. Yes. That is incredibly ungrateful person. Story number... We had a lot of short ones today, and I don't even have numbers made up for all these. Story number 10 is coming to us from r/petty revenge. I stole from a shopping cart. So this happened a few days ago at a grocery store. I was waiting patiently in my lane, and beside me was the priority lane for senior citizens, PWDs, etc. There were a couple of elderly people sitting on the chairs provided specifically for them while waiting for their turn. Pretty normal setup. I don't think this is in America. That is not a pretty normal setup here. Now, some guy casually walks up and cuts right in front of the seated seniors. I speak up and say, "Hey, they're already in line." And this guy, without even looking at me, goes, "I don't see them standing in line though." Real smug, real dismissive. The elderly folks looked uncomfortable but didn't want to cause a scene. So I shut up and I simmered. A few minutes later, we're still in the lanes and I notice his cart is stacked with what looks like camping gear, such as a sleeping bag, paper plates, marshmallows, instant noodles, a portable stove, etc. And there it was, a single can of butane gas. And right there, I saw an opportunity. The guy's blabbering on the phone, totally distracted. So I casually leaned over, plucked the butane from his cart, and slid it into mine. He didn't notice. He checked out and left. I paid for my stuff, including his butane, and walked away. Somewhere out there, this man arrived at his campsite, probably boasting about how smart and quick he is. And when he tried to fire up that portable stove, no gas, no hot food, no coffee, just crunchy noodles and the sweet taste of consequences, hopefully. That's a good one. I like that one a lot. Story 11 is coming to us from r/petty revenge. Neighbor was feeding 12 stray feral cats outside her house, but refused to take responsibility when they were shitting around the neighborhood. Context. We live in the same building, which has 10 floors. The cat feeder is on the 10th. She has been feeding stray and feral cats over 2 years outside her apartment door, and all the other neighbors on different floors have been finding cat poop and pee right outside our doors. All of us collectively tried to talk to her to at least keep a litter box or adopt the cats if she loves them so much, but to no avail. We then complained to the management of the building. They warned her, but she continued feeding the cats. The cat poop was always there to greet the residents and their guests, and it stank all over the place. One morning, when I was going to drop my 5-year-old to school, he unknowingly placed his foot on fresh cat poop right outside of my door. His white PT shoes were completely soiled. We were getting late, and that's when I decided to take petty revenge. After I came back, I picked the cat poop in a dustpan, climbed 10 stories because the elevators have cameras, and placed it right outside her door. I did this for a week, consistently. And thankfully, the cat poop issue is solved because the cats decided that their toilet is now her door. Very good. Rightly so. Rightly so. Story number 12 is coming to us from r/petty revenge. Mean elderly lady skips the wrong line. So a few days ago, I was sorting out some taxes at a busy office with 5 different sections, each handling a specific type of tax. The place was packed with people, and by 2 p.m., the waiting line extended all the way outside. It was calm and all. It was calm and all till an elderly lady arrived, claiming that she had been there since the morning. She was in a hurry to meet a deadline, we all did, by the way, and decided to skip the line. Out of respect, no one spoke up. Then she began throwing insults and pushing her way through the crowd. She bumped into me and positioned herself in front of me, saying that she was behind the person standing in front of me. I chose not to argue as I was too tired to engage with her. For the next 30 minutes, she continued to nag and complain, saying how young people these days don't respect their elders because they let her wait in line. No one was willing to sacrifice their place in line for her. By the way, I did just that by letting her stand in front of me. After some time, her papers fell to the ground. It was then when I noticed that she was waiting in the wrong line. I see where this is going. I considered telling her, but she deliberately stepped on my foot and pushed me again, claiming that I was invading her personal space. So I kept my mouth shut. We continued to wait for nearly 2 hours until finally, her turn arrived. The employees refused to process her paperwork, insisting that she needed to go to the correct office. By that time, the office she needed to go to was already out of service. She became furious and began yelling at the employees for not doing their jobs properly. Eventually, security guards had to escort her out. In the end, she wasted her entire day waiting in the summer heat and ended up getting a penalty for missing the deadline. I like it. I like it because you had the opportunity to help her and you didn't. And when it's deliberate like that, it just makes it so much better revenge. Truly, she did it to herself. She was in such a rush, she didn't pay attention to the signage or which line was where. She did it to herself. You just didn't lift a finger to help her. Story number 13, got an unknown caller and decided to get weird. Cell phone rings with unknown caller. I decide to get weird. The caller starts in with his sales pitch about, do we need any home repairs because they're going to be in the neighborhood and want to save us a fortune. I put in my stress to the max voice and cried out, my house burned down last night. My dogs died. My wife and I are stuck in a Red Cross shelter right now. What is wrong with you people? My wife was sitting next to me and nearly choked as I had answered the call on speakerphone. She could hear it all. She is well acquainted with my seriously messed up sense of humor. The poor caller, a guy, was left speechless for several moments before he very quietly said, I hope things work out for you. Then he hung up. My wife doubled up with insane laughter, and I began to fear that I might have traumatized the poor guy. Oh well, my phone didn't ring for the rest of the evening. That's a good one. I like it. I too like to, when I have time, I like to occasionally torment the scammers. All right, that is all we have for today. That is 13 stories for this week's episode of Petty Please. That is the most stories we've ever had in a single episode of the Misty Morrison Podcast. I guess I need to go make some more numbers for our little icons. But yeah, that is us done for the day. Thank you for being here to enjoy the pettiness with me, and I will see you next time for another episode of the Misty Morrison Podcast. Bye.